Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode. That's gonna be a commercial line right there. Another episode of Relate to This with Jay Tross and Dr. Howe. And
DJ Trust and Dr. Howe.
you said the Jay Tross?
It's
and
sketchy. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
and I got to get my monologue in, man. Man, I got that 30-second monologue. I got to listen. It is required by law that I get that 30-second monologue in before we jump into the bro. Don't mess up the program, Dr. Howe. Don't do that.
No, I'm
Don't
going
do
to
that.
get you a line stepper, man. I'm sorry.
Listen, man, listen. It's good to have each and every one of you here with us tonight. We're ready to get right into the show. We're a little late on time this evening, and every good preacher knows all the preliminaries. If they take a little long, what the preacher normally say? Well, y'all just got me up here at 9:00. But we're not gonna do that to you tonight. We're not gonna do that to you. We want to get in, give you some nuggets. Dr. Howell, I said nuggets. That's the key word.
Nuggets.
Give them some nuggets tonight.
So
Don't
we're
be
not
getting them.
giving them thighs and breasts.
Listen, man, don't get no whole chicken and all that kind of stuff, man. Get them pieces of crumbs so they can come back and catch the second half
I'm about
of
to
the
rotisserie,
program.
man.
Oh, you about to rotisserie. Mercy, 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 mercy. Listen, our show tonight is brought to you by MEI, Making Education Intentional. As we always say, we thank Dr. Howe for his commitment to what he does. He is he's a lifer. I'm gonna call him a lifer, right? He's coaching, he is consulting, he is opening doors, he is doing podcast at the podcast, not for himself, but he has all of this power, this information. Listen, he shared something with me tonight. Ain't got nothing to do with this show. He shared something with me tonight, which led us into a long conversation, which was good and healthy for the soul.
Yeah,
And
you call
so,
me Terrence Howard, though, but that's okay.
I mean, see, you didn't have to add that to this program tonight. And I was trying to stay away from it. I was just letting the people know that you have a plethora of knowledge.
I went down the rabbit hole, and he didn't like the rabbit hole, so he dynamite that thing.
Listen, I put enough dynamite in that thing to bring down. Well, let me be quiet. We on YouTube. All right, so listen, now let's get right into our program tonight. As we said, we want to get in, say what we need to say, and close down the store tonight. But listen, we like to set the stage, right? We like to set the stage because it's important for people to know what direction we want to go in, what we want to share, how we want to share it. We want to just open up this gate tonight, and I'm gonna call it the open gate. Relate to this program tonight, and what I mean by that is we're going to come from various various streets, if you will. But we're gonna end where we should. But the street I want to go down tonight, as relates to relationship, is that street of.
Wait, hold on, before you continue. I don't even know what city we in. He talking about we going down streets. I don't know nothing about the question. So I don't know if we in Baltimore. I don't know if we in Detroit. I don't know if we in Chi-Town. So go ahead. Let's see what street we on.
If you let me finish, you're gonna know exactly where you're going by way of GPS.
Okay.
Oh, if you got that GPS ready, brother, you're gonna be all right tonight. That's why I said the gate has been open, and we're gonna get right into it. We're talking about singles tonight, right? We talk about singles. We're gonna talk about singles tonight. Now, and these are individuals, for all intents and purposes, is I'm okay, right? Sometimes we give off. You got married couples, you got to keep people in relationships, all this kind of stuff. We give off a sense of, if you're single, you are bad.
Mm-hmm.
You're single, you must be something wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
Single people, and I've heard this from a lot of single people, I just want to be single. There's nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. So the first question I want to ask, because this is going to set our roadmap, right?
Mm-hmm.
First question I want to ask is this, and this is from a single person, okay? Because like I said, told you already, right? Single people are always getting a bad rap. Single people are always getting like, oh my gosh, you can't hang with me because I'm in a relationship and I feel you're gonna take my girl or you're gonna take my guy. You know, all of these different craziness out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What are some healthy examples of boundaries and how do we set them?
That's a loaded question. I'm going to start with this.
Go
You
for
have
it.
to know yourself. You have to know your triggers. And you have to know the people that you allow within your circle. Your boundaries have to be different for different people. Because, like, for example, Jose, you and I are friends. We have boundaries, but there are other people that we talk with in our circle that we may not allow certain conversations to be explored.
Mm-hmm.
You and I, we will go down certain rabbit holes together, but we may not feel comfortable doing that with certain other people because we don't know how far down the rabbit hole they would go or if they would go down the rabbit hole. And so you have to be cautious as to who you open up to in different conversations because not everyone will keep your information secure.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first boundary comes out of the premise I may not know how safe I am around you, so I will keep my guard up. We will talk on a professional basis or on a casual basis or as an associate level. Whereas some other people, we might be on a tier 2 or tier 1 friendship level. And so I can open up my gates and I can loosen my boundaries because I feel safe around you. And I am thinking of a conversation that I heard Dr. Eric Thomas have. He said he did a presentation at a resort and he was getting ready to leave to go catch his plane. And the guy was like, yeah, we're having drinks and we having, a little get together after the presentation.
Mm-hmm.
We'd like for you to come. And Eric Thomas said to the guy, bruh, this was a business transaction. I came, I did what I was paid to do. I'm leaving. He was like, so why can't you stay here? And Eric said, listen, too many people get in trouble being in places where they think that they are safe, but they're not safe. He said, I can act myself at home. I can't get in trouble at home. I can get in trouble here.
Right.
And so his boundary was business is business, personal is personal. And so if you don't know the people, don't let people into your circle until they have been verified by you and by people close to you.
Right.
And so your boundary is be coy and cautious with everyone until they prove themselves to be friendly and to be trustworthy. But don't go into every situation thinking that people are trustworthy. That's why half those celebrities now in problems. Matter of fact, I can think of a celebrity now that's in problems because he let too many people in his circle. Everybody knew he had problems. And now that the feds are starting to grab some of his people in his inner circle, those people are going to squeal like little pigs. I'm done.
Okay. No, I mean, you're absolutely totally right. And that the boundaries that you set, as stated already, they're very important. And once you establish your boundaries with, and I like how you said it, that you used the example of you and I. You know, we may cross certain lines because we've been associated with one another for, you know, XYZ many years, but that doesn't
Yeah.
have anything to do with it. Because you can know somebody for 25 years and still have boundaries set, right?
Because you
And
don't trust. They're not trustworthy. They haven't
right,
proven themselves.
they haven't proven themselves for 25 years. You still okay with them,
Mm-hmm.
but you know that you ain't coming over my house. You're not getting in my car. We're gonna go play ball together, right? Outside.
Mm-hmm.
You know some of those things. And so it takes those, like you said, conversations and different things of that nature, getting to know a person, to see where a person's mind is before you open up. Now, do you believe that there are several layers to boundaries?
Yes, that's why I talked about tier 2 and tier 1.
Right.
Tier
Okay.
3, you are 3 levels of separation from safety conversations.
Mhm.
Tier 2, okay, I've known you for a while. I think I can trust you, so I can let my hair down a little. But tier 1 people, it's almost like family. People that you can trust, people that have your back and not going. Whatever you say behind closed doors, stay behind closed doors type of situation. And I don't know about your wife, but my wife told me, listen, you can trust me, but don't trust too many other people. Your stuff is safe with me, but you don't know the motives of everyone else around you. And she's found that has been a good way to live her life. And I've gotten in trouble for saying the wrong things. She hasn't gotten in trouble for saying the wrong things because she is very close-lipped when it comes to her life.
But then, I mean, even in that instance, right? And we know that we don't fall in these categories, right? But even in those instances, like you just said, your spouse said, "You can trust me."
Mm-hmm.
How many spouses have said that, right? About their husbands or their wives, right? And as soon as a divorce happens, they spill their beans, right?
Yes, and you know what? The prime example of that is Shaquille O'Neal and his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said, "Yeah, I was married for 8-9 years, and I'm not even sure I even loved him. I was in love with the lifestyle."
And you absolutely, absolutely. And so you get those, and so the motivation behind it is I'm supposed to be safe with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in all intents and purposes, in a lot of relationships, I'm safe with you until I have a problem. I'm sorry, you're safe with me until I have a problem with you.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm talking to my girlfriends,
Mm-hmm.
or you're talking to your boys, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're spilling everything that we talking about.
Yeah.
So these boundaries that you created at the beginning of the relationship, you said, okay, now we've been married 5 years, 7 years, 9, 11, 13, 15, 19, 20, whatever years. And you let down your guard at certain levels, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, you at the grocery store and you see Mindy at the grocery store and Mindy over there, laughing. You said, what's going on? Oh, nothing. And, you get home and your spouse like, yeah, I saw Mindy at the store. And your spouse's eyes get real big. So, and I know, I mean, just like you just said, boundaries is a loaded subject because you got so many different ways. So we won't dwell on it too long.
Yeah.
But we also want people to understand that those boundaries, there's nothing, there is no VIP as it relates to the boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has to be tried and tested because, to be honest with you, before you get with a person, if you know them well enough, you're going to already know if they are a gossiper. Because let's be honest, let's if we could be real for a moment, if you're with somebody that gossips, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna gossip about you too.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
At some point along the way, they're going to gossip, whether it is intentional or not. It's just gonna come out.
Mm-hmm.
How you and Claude doing? Let me tell you about Claude. You know what I mean? Claude's in love with his mama.
Oh, wow.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So those things are definitely going to come out. All right, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and move forward. I like
Wait,
that.
hold up. Can I just say something real fast?
Yeah.
Research has shown us that we have 3 different personalities: public, private, and secret.
Mm.
A lot of times we have things about ourselves that should remain secret that we tell the public.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times we have things that are private that we tell, that's secretive, that we tell the private people or the public people, because we don't know the boundaries. We think that all information is good for telling. And the reason why that's important is people are choosing the wrong people. And so, for example, a lot of people say, "Ooh, I got good chemistry with this girl," or "I got good chemistry with this guy. Maybe we should be intimate." Chemistry does not mean you should be in a relationship. Chemistry just means we get along. That means we could be friends on a professional level. That means we could be friends on a personal level, but it doesn't mean that we have to be intimately friendly.
Right.
So a lot of people end up in relationships because they mixed up chemistry with compatibility and trust. And so because you can get along with somebody does not mean you have to be intimate. And a lot of rappers and a lot of movie stars fall into that category because they end up in a lot of relationships, and just as quickly as they get in them, they get out of them because they take the time to vet those individuals.
Absolutely.
So, they lowered their boundaries too quick, and they got burned in the process. Another case in point is Johnny Depp. What that woman put him through. And then she said, "No one would ever believe you over me because I'm a woman," type of situation. How do we choose people that poorly? And so the choice in partners is no respecter of money, no socioeconomic status or anything. Poor people choosing wrong people, rich people choosing wrong people, and so you got to take the time to vet those individuals and find out some background history on them before you decide to commit and lower your boundaries and open yourself up to excess scrutiny by the outsiders.
Right. Absolutely. No, you're right. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. We're going to remember that. All right. So let's talk about dating standards. What are some dating standards that you recommend for people who are dating?
I'll give you a freebie, and people normally have to pay for this, but I'll give you a freebie tonight. First thing you need to do is do a personality test. You need to know what your personality is, because every personality comes with positives and negatives. It comes with strengths and weaknesses. You need to know what you bring to the table, and you need to know what your triggers are. That's the first thing. Then secondly, when you find somebody that you like, after a little while, not at the beginning, but you say, "Hey, come take this personality test so I can see more about you, or so we can understand each other." Because if I know your strengths and I know your weaknesses, if I know your triggers and I know your strengths, then we can maneuver a lot better. The second thing you can do is the love language. How do you express love? How do you want your love to be expressed? Those are 2 things that you can do to get you to identify the right type of person for you. The third thing, and this is the most crucial thing, write down your 5-year, 10-year, and 20-year goals. And when you are looking for someone, I ask them those questions to see if their goals can align with your goals. Because if their goals will never align with your goals, and they're just as stubborn about their goals as you are, they will never be compatible with you. Because you need someone with you that will go on the journey with you, that you all can help each other. And you can't help each other if you don't know each other. And you can't know each other if you don't communicate properly. And you can't communicate properly if you don't know each other's love language. So those are the three things that I would say you have to start with before you start lowering your before you start opening up your boundaries and lowering your guards and letting people into your personal space. Know more about these people to see if you're willing to commit to them. Are these the type of people that you want to open yourself up to in 6 months? You know, you can't just go with chemistry. You got to go with people who look like they can hold a long-term relationship. If you go on YouTube and TikTok, there was one question that I liked is, how long was your longest relationship so far? If all the relationships are short, then that is a red flag right there. A potential red flag, because they might be dumping people because they're not on the same line as them, not going the same path. But if they are going into relationships so readily, it also means that they're choosing people quickly and then dumping them quickly. So you got to, that's why I said it's a potential red flag. So those are 4 things right there that you can use. So your standards have to do with personality, your standards have to do with love language, your standards have to do with goals, and your standards have to do with how long have they been in a relationship. Why? Because depending on your age, you might be in a relationship for marriage where they're in a relationship for fun.
Right.
You don't want to be with a person who is in a relationship for fun and you trying to get married. You going in 2 different directions.
Now, I'm definitely with you. That personality test, right? You take that test, and I want people to understand. So I take the test. Me and the significant other, we take this test, and it shows our personalities are way off, right? Like we are, and they say opposites attract.
But the personalities may not be way off, but what I believe is, because there's a theory out there that says there's no such thing as a perfect person. It's all about how much you're willing to commit and compromise. And so with that being said, knowing the personality just allows you a baseline to start from.
Okay.
It means that you're not going into the relationship blind. You know what each other's strengths are. You know what each other's weaknesses are. You know each other's triggers. And so now, based on that, and based on how we communicate with our love languages, am I willing to put in the time, energy, and the work needed in order to learn you on a deeper level? But we're starting the game not at 0. We're starting the game at 40%.
Right.
And I'm throwing out an arbitrary number because most people, they just start and they have like the same random 5 questions asked. Where are you from? What you like? Stupid questions like that. But when you start with a personality profile and a love language profile, you're starting ahead of the game. You're starting ahead of most people. So now when you throw the goals up in there and they're going in the same direction or similar direction as you, now we got a good 50% baseline that we starting from. Now we have a good chance of pulling the trigger and say, you know what, I'm willing to commit to you because you have a lot of things that can help me and I have a lot of things that can help you. So now we can start our relationship knowing that we can both benefit from each other. Does that make sense?
Definitely. Oh, okay. Absolutely. Which then brings us, and you may have mentioned this a little while ago, but or some of it, but let's talk about those character traits, right? I'm looking for somebody. I'm eager. I'm going places and I'm seeing things, and I'm totally interested in jumping into a relationship. But what are some character traits I should look out for in someone that I'm interested in?
Communication. Are they good at communicating? Are they good at compromising? or are they pig-headed, stubborn-headed, bull-headed? How do they communicate? Do they communicate in a healthy way? Because a lot of people say that communication is the key, but I know a lot of people that communicate by screaming, and that's definitely not the key. And I know a lot of people that communicate with sarcasm, and that's definitely not the key. And so we're talking about healthy communication. Can I sit down and talk to you without blaming and without criticizing and without being negative in the way that I'm talking to you? You know, am I authoritative or am I compromising? Another thing is accountability. If I call you on the carpet about something, will you take accountability for your negative actions? Are you willing to be guided? And I don't mean guided as a parent guiding a child, but guided meaning, hey, I don't like when you talk to me like that. Can I show you a better way to communicate to me? Right. So am I, do I take accountability? What about self-awareness? Is this person aware of themselves? If this person is hot-tempered, do they know their triggers? Do they know how to self-soothe and calm themselves down? Or are they just hot-headed? And are they a person that is going to cause me a lot of time in a police station? Bailing them out. Looking for stuff. Are they respectful? What type of intimacy do they show? And I'm not talking about physical intimacy. Are they intimate with their financials? Are they intimate about their spiritual well-being? Are they intimate with their social status? Are they, there's so many different levels of intimacy, emotional intimacy. Are they willing to connect with me on all levels of intimacy and not just physical? Are they active listeners, or are they listening to answer? A lot of times people just being quiet because they already got their answer locked and loaded. So they're not even they're hearing you, but they're not listening. So they can't even repeat what you said because they're ready to knock you down with their comeback. And then last but not least, what type of boundaries do they have? Do these people have healthy boundaries? Do these people have any type of realistic or unrealistic expectations? And so these are all things that you should be looking for before you decide, hey, you know what, she's cute, get her for me, like Samson did. And Samson got tricked twice. And, Samson was the strongest man, but the dumbest man that ever lived too.
Yeah.
So the character traits that you're looking for are those that can foster a healthy relationship on both parts.
Okay. All right. That's good. I like that. All right. So our final question for the night is, this might take you a little time, but this one is related to, now we talked about, as I stated before, we laid the foundation. Mm-hmm. Everything that we've been talking about is related to single individuals, but can also cross that line as well, right? Mm-hmm. So the final question is this, and I want you to process this. Okay. I'm in a relationship. Mm-hmm. It ain't been good.
Okay.
So now I'm out the relationship. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm out the relationship. I'm back in the game. Mm-hmm. Right. The question, and this is the $1 million question, Dr. Howe, because so many people fall trapped to this, right? Mm-hmm. Some people feel like, I get out of a relationship, got to jump into another one. I get out of a relationship, got to jump into another one. And on and on and on and on and on. There is no break in between. You're just going hopping from relationship to relationship, wondering why these relationships not working. The question is this. Mm-hmm. I just got our relationship. How long should I be single?
There's not a time frame under there. It's a mental frame. And so if your relationship did not work, you have to do some self-assessment. And the self-assessment basically is for you to identify what your cause in the breakup was, what part you played in it. did you play an active or passive part in the breakup of the relationship? And what I mean by active mean, for example, you were a habitual boundary stepper,
Mm-hmm.
or you were complicit in it, meaning that you just let the person walk all over you and your boundaries and did nothing until you couldn't take it anymore and you just exploded and walked away. So passive does not mean you didn't have a part to play in it. You just passive means that you had a part to play in it until you couldn't take it anymore. So you were abused, and then you walked away and blamed the other person. When if you had good boundaries, it may not have happened to the extent that it did, if
Right.
it had happened at all. And so, how long should you stay single? Until you figure out the role that you played in it, learn how to fix it,
Mhm.
learn how to forgive and release yourself and the other person from that pain and suffering. Because baggage can only go into a relationship, the next relationship, when you don't release and forgive, or forgive and release. And so if you're jumping from relationship to relationship and you're not fixing what is broken within you, you will continually attract the same type of individual, just in a different body. Because opposites attract, and not only that, you attract who you are on the inside, or you attract who you fear, or what
Right.
you fear. So if you fear dogs, you will attract dogs. If you fear a person who is manipulative and combative, you will focus on it, and whatever you focus on is what you will attract. And so you should stay alone and learn to envelop and learn to enjoy what we call solitude. Solitude is different from loneliness. Solitude allows you to reflect, and it allows you to self-manage and self-cure. Loneliness is sitting there by yourself, wishing you were with someone else. Solitude gives you a chance to heal. Loneliness makes you jump into another relationship without fixing what's broken within you. So there's no time frame for how long. It's just a mental state of mind. Have you fixed what's broken within you so that you can go to the next relationship without that baggage that people normally bring into every relationship? Have you released, let it go, so you can move forward?
Wow, man, listen, you broke some things down tonight. You didn't give no breadcrumbs. You gave them whole slices. Whole slices. And, as we, continue to process this and we're looking at all these things, everything we talked about tonight was really revolved around boundaries. And setting those boundaries. And once you set those boundaries, all this other stuff will kind of fall in place. Learning the traits and learning about yourself, right? And then if you can't figure it all out, you need to put a boundary up for everybody and learn about yourself before jumping back into any other type of relationship. So the question we like to ask every night, at the end of our show, at the end of our program, to our audience, this is for you. This is where you have an active role. Can you relate to this?
Yep.
Hey, listen, we'll see you next time on another episode of Relate to This. Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Relate to this. With Jay Charles and Dr. Howe. Relate to this.
Relay, go relay. It's your birthday. It's your birthday. Go.